Last night I was watching a video by Alex O'Connor. He's got a couple of podcasts. One of them's called Cosmic Skeptic, spelled with a K. And some of you would have seen him around. He's interviewed anyone that's anyone out there. And he's a brilliant brain. He's only a young guy, mid to late 20s. He has a degree in philosophy and a degree in theology. So, subject matter is very often philosophical religion, or ripping an arsehole in religion, and proving it through logic and reason to be fallacious. But the video I was watching last night was where he is running some philosophical dilemmas by ChatGPT. And the video is about 20 minutes long, and it starts off with him asking ChatGPT to help him with his moral dilemmas. So he ran by these moral dilemmas to ChatGPT, and Chat, let's just say, answered what he should do. And then he went on to speak about some more moral dilemmas, and eventually what he was designing to do was to tie Chat in a knot and to see if she would it. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard, people. It's to see if it would tie itself in a knot and contradict itself. And that is almost what happened with the exception that there is no truth. I mean, this is what I'm getting to here, people. So the moral dilemmas was, about how you should save drowning babies, and whether you should spend any surplus money on going out and having a wonderful meal, or whether you should send it for research on malaria, or on buying malaria tablets for people, or malaria nets, whether you should do that to save lives. And, we enter into these sort of moral and humanistic dilemmas because, we can't 1000% be morally obliged to suffering people of the planet. We do have to, spend a little cash on doing our hair now and again and having our nails done. We can't be sending our spare cash to Ethiopia and India and, any hurricane that's happened around the world. We are going to be spending a bit of it on ourselves. But, logic would prevail and say that all surplus money, instead of spending it on superficial nonsense like hair and nails, should be given to help save lives. Now, that's a no-brainer, isn't it, for a global society who loves and cares for one another. But the situation is with the human being that we do not, in actual fact, love and care for each other to that degree. We may spend £5 a month sending it to Ethiopia to buy a little bit of rice for a starving kid. But then we'll spend £100 on a pizza and a few drinks at a restaurant, when that could have, obviously fed a lot of people. So we're doing this all the time. So as far as morals go, human beings invariably don't really have them. And it'd be shocking for most people to realise, because every one of you would consider that you've got a reasonable high state of moral standing, particularly in view of the fact that you're born and bred in a Western country which you deem to be moral, when in actual fact the world isn't moral, you're not moral, and nor is anyone that you consider is a friend, a foe or a lover. There's a high level of immorality within a human being. But what I gleaned from this conversation with Alex and Chat was that when Alex confronted Chat with its contradiction, it then imposed oh, well, there is this situation and then there is that situation. But of course, all situations, have to be considered on their own because there's so many variances and there's so many nuances and this, that and the other. And Alex said to it, he said, well, you told me categorically that, it was a moral error if I was to, let's say, spend all of the money on a meal instead of giving any of it to charity. If I had surplus money and I didn't really need it, then you're morally obliged to help people that do need the money. And that seems very reasonable. So that was correct what Chat said. But then, you see, when we get into very, very deep philosophical moral issues, whereby you are asked, are you going to save one life or are you going to save 3? Lives are going to be lost. Are you going to save 1 or are you going to save 3? And of course, everybody, if they didn't know any of the people, they'd say, well, I'm going to save 3 lives. But then you see, if you switch a button on a runaway train coming down the track, and there's 3, kids on the track here and there's 1 on the track there, then you have the power to switch the switch where the train will run over the 3 or the 1, then you're going to switch it to running over the 1. And then you are going to be responsible for killing that 1 person. But then you say to yourself, well, I did save 3 others. Yeah, but you still killed 1. You still killed 1. And so you're gonna live with that, aren't you? And of course, as moral beings, we are gonna live with that. But we're gonna justify it for all of our lives. But I did save 3, for God's sake, please release me from this guilt. But invariably, you won't be released from the guilt. But what Chat gave me, what I took from this, is that there is no truth, people. If ChatGPT, with all the information filtered into it from all of the brilliant brains on the world, couldn't come up with any definitive truth, it is indicative that there isn't any. Now, what Chat said in response to having a failing or a dilemma in its own moral standing was, look, all I've got to work on is all the brilliant brains that have philosophized about moral dilemmas, and they've fed them into my hard drive. And so that's all I'm doing. Unfortunately, I'm not a human being and I've not been presented with real life situations, because real life situations, you're going to have other things come into play. You're going to have humanisms come into play, and they are going to change your so-called rational thought, because most human beings are going to be acting emotionally, not rationally, whereas the computer is only ever going to be speaking from a rational perspective. So when we listen to Chat, and we know for certain that whatever they are going to suggest to you or state to you, which is correct and which is the moral obligation, is going to be flawed. And it isn't definitive, it can be questioned, and the more moral dilemmas you present to Chat, the more confused it gets, just like human beings, because it's only got the same information as a human being in a logical and rational way. And of course, computers only operating on logic and what it considers to be a result of human emotions, because it knows about human emotions in certain situations, and it will go, well, humans tend to do this under this circumstance, they tend to do that under this circumstance, but it's not a foregone conclusion, because human beings are all different and they all have different sentience and different levels of consciousness and different upbringings and different backgrounds and different emotional states and this and the other. So how could we ever find any truth? We couldn't, people. We can't find any truth. Not only can't we find any truth, definitive, in human consciousness, we can't find definitive truth in science either. Because science is always moving the goalposts. Scientists are always finding something new. They are always changing their hypothesis and their theories. Because when you look at what the world scientifically deems to know about the world and the cosmos, you'll discern that, I would think, if not 100%, it's 99 point something hypothesis. It's all theory, because scientists do not in actual fact know how anything works. they can just keep doing tests and tests and tests, and they go, well, so far tests have given back these results, and but we can't say it's definitive, because it's like saying, will the sun rise every day on the world? Well, just because it has appeared to have risen, every day throughout all of our lives and all of our history, it doesn't mean to say that it's going to rise tomorrow, because anything can happen. We could be hit by a meteorite, and the world's axis and trajectory could be offset. It can stop spinning, and therefore the sun would never rise, would it? So nothing is a foregone conclusion, people. So when we listen to things like this, then it broadens our minds, and the more information that we acquire, the more we learn, the more we realise how little we know. Now, I've been speaking to my friend, the muscle guy, in the gym, and we were speaking for over an hour. And he said, it's a drug, man, it's a drug. Because every time I have a conversation with you, I'm, getting a dopamine fix. And he says, the greatest thing I appreciate about you is that there's no holds barred. There's no avenues that you won't pursue. There's nothing that you say you don't believe, or that's bollocks, or that's crazy. You're open-minded to absolutely everything. And I said, well, look, that's a beautiful acknowledgement, and it's a great insight for you to be able to realise that and say so. Because many people, they just wouldn't fucking derive at that. They just simply wouldn't. Their level of consciousness wouldn't lend themselves to realising the magnitude of another person's consciousness if their consciousness is so tiny. So what he's saying to me, even though he's got loving family and friends that want to help him, so many of them tell him he's crazy for doing this or shouldn't be doing that, and they can't see why he's doing this and this, that and the other. And he's like, well, these people have no fucking idea why I'm doing all these things. They're just projecting onto me their programs or their beliefs, and that's all it amounts to. So basically they're fucking useless. And so he says to me, I'm a fucking sanctuary. I'm a breath of fresh air. Because I don't impose any restrictions on anything that he wants to ask or what he wants to talk about. And I say, well, the reason why I don't do that is because all of my life I have known there is absolutely no definitive truth. And so we must be open-minded about everything. And if there is no truth, people, then nothing is remotely what it appears to be. And small minds, small consciousnesses would be saying, oh, this is solid and that's a tree and this is this and that's and that. But, you can't deal with these people, can you? They've got no idea how to think. People need to be, first and foremost, philosophically destined. You have to be philosophically inclined. If you don't have the wherewithal to be philosophical, then you will never get remotely close to how anything works on this world. And this is why scientists, because everything always has to fit and it always has to be X or Y. And the reason why they can't deal with quantum physics is because quantum physics gives them X and fucking Y. And, the human rational thought mostly suggests, no, it can't be X and fucking Y. It's got to be one or the other. Well, it doesn't have to be one of the other, people. It's only narrow, closed minds that feel that things must be this or must be that. Because that's the human egoic propensity. It needs to create fiction and illusion. Otherwise we can't have this human experience. Because if all of us realise that there's nothing real, there's nothing definitive, then everything breaks down. And there's no laws that we would adhere to. There's no social norms. And we've become very postmodernistic. Because the postmodernists, the philosophers, like Derrida and Foucault, French philosophers Jacques Derrida and Michel Foucault. They were French philosophers, I think about 60s or 70s, and they were postmodernists, and they would say, well, look, nothing's definitive. And so, this is why people today are stating that we don't have to be called a boy, we don't have to be called a girl, because that's just general terminology which is accepted to mean X or Y. But what about how we feel? You see, how we feel has to come into place, because if your spirit was born in a male body or a female body, but your spirit felt like it was the opposite, then what really are you? You see, well, scientists would say, well, you've got a cock, so you're a male. But then the person in their defence would say, well, I feel like I've got a pussy, and I'm attracted to cock. I'm not attracted, to pussy. And so, albeit I've got a cock, everything about me, is attracted to the opposite. And so, there's something that needs to be considered. There does need to be considerations made, people, because what we're discovering more and more is that the spiritual aspect of what we are is immensely important. And one day we'll come to the realisation that the spiritual aspect of us is the only importance, because the egoic thing is the fiction and it's the delusion, and it's a liar. And so we've got a long way to go in the human evolution. And so because I'm reading about spirits and the paranormal and all that different sort of thing, and I'm reading books that are hundreds or thousands of years old, and people have been speaking about these things forever, and how they've been poo-pooed in recent times, because the powers that be have imposed the fiction of science on us. Science is a fiction, people. Everything that comes out of science is a fucking fiction. Because they're all highly dependent on things being real, when nothing is real. What is real, Neo? That's the question. And if there is no matter, then how can anything be real in that sense? It can be real in a spiritual sense. Hi guys. Because feeling spirits, seeing spirits, engaging with spirits is just as real as anything else, in a conscious way. You see, it all pertains to consciousness. Everything comes out of consciousness. And, we seem to have a physical world here, but then we can go into the astral and there's no physical world there. And we can have lots of other experiences in consciousness where there's no physical world. And we can engage with spirits which are not physical. And so it's just a case of opening your minds and expanding your consciousness. And we do this via experience. Now, there's a young man that is in contact with me. I'll give you a shout out, bro. And I think he's only about 20 years old. And he struggles with certain mental issues. And the question was last night, how am I going to know the things you know? Is it by entheogens, or is it by, studying, or what books do I need to read, and all this sort of thing? And I'm like, bro, it's a life experience. You're assuming, if I'm reading and interpreting what you wrote me, you're assuming that there's some magic pill. There is a mushroom that you take that will give you my level of consciousness. My level of consciousness. The major facet of it was probably gifted to me. And you may have it, you may not have it. Many people don't have it. But then, out of 300 entheogenic sojourns and 15 years of meditation and world travel and thousands of books read and everything like that, my consciousness has expanded exponentially. And I've got 61 years of experience. Now, I replied back to this young man and I said, dude, I've got 61 years. You're fucking 20. And what is it that makes you think or suffer because you don't have my knowledge and wisdom? Because he is suffering. He is suffering because of the frustration that he doesn't think he knows anything. And it's difficult for him to retain information and gain information and things like that. you know, maybe you do have some mental issues, and I've, referred him to speak with doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists. I've done that, people. I've done that. Because basically I like talking to these people, and I like them to look at me and see what they see. That's why I've done it, not because I need their help. I've done it for other reasons, of course, to get things on record. But I would love a full-time therapist. And that's why I'm always appealing to you guys out there to come to speak to me about your issues and problems and things like that, because I can exercise, not exorcise, not an exorcism, exercise. I can exercise my proclivity to psychoanalyze. I love that shit, because by looking into your minds, I'm looking into my mind, because we supposedly share the same consciousness and the same human brains and all that sort of thing. And so it's not always entirely obvious things going on inside ourselves, because we can be so used to things, we can be a bit blind. And so this is one of the reasons I'm always so belligerent in my videos, because I give you the opportunity for you to tell me what you see. You're this and you're that, and you think you're this and you think you're that. And I look at all these things and I go, is that true? And I go, yes, some of that's true. And then I go, oh, that one, I'm not quite sure about that one. My ego might want to reject it initially, but then, I'm too wise for that. So I look at it and I go, is there any truth in that? Yeah, in this particular video, there is truth in that. But in this particular video, I'm acting. I'm in a parody of myself. What you're seeing in this video isn't in actual fact, the me in the mean, the middle me, there's polarities to us, and we can be right over on the left side and we can be right over on the right side, and anywhere in between. And so if someone ever levels at me, I'm this and I'm that, when I'm right over the left side, I'm like, well, potentially I can appear to be that, or I may even be that according to some people. But what you have to realise is, all you people that ever have anything to say about what I am, read the comments, and you'll find that there's more comments which actually enjoy those vociferous, belligerent rants than those that actually find them offensive. It's a small percentage on my channel which find those sort of videos offensive, because most people on my channel are more grown. And so, it's all sorts of courses. Then, in another comment last night, one of the long-term viewers said to me about my advertisement for my books. He said, Aaron, this demeanour in this video would probably sell more books. And I'm like, well, to some people. But what you may be getting a handle on these days is that when I'm absolutely belligerent and I'm screaming, you fucking idiots, buy the fucking book and stop being fucking numpties. Because if you buy the book, you might fucking make some realisations about yourself. Well, more people buy the book when I'm like that than when I say, oh, by the way, guys, I've got this book and, it's quite a good book and you might like it. Well, no fucker buys it then. There's been a 6-week period, people, where nobody's bought a single fucking copy of that book. But as soon as I'm talking, like I've been talking over the last few videos, then, of course, the sales have gone straight back up again. And so what I always say is, look, mostly you're too seated in your own individuality, in your own individuation. You would benefit from being more of a collective. You see, where I'm always coming from, people, I'm always coming from the collective as a human being. I'm not coming from one facet and only one way to look at the world. I'm coming from a myriad of ways of looking at the world. I'm coming from every conceivable, perceivable way of looking at the world, what my consciousness, my intellect, my experience, my knowledge will give me. I'm coming at it from all of that sort of stuff. So, if I'm going to be selling the book, I'm going to be going, well, look, I know there's lots of varying personality types out there, and I can reach some people with like, hey guys, I've got this book, by the way, if you don't mind, it's a little bit expensive, I know that, but you know, it's a thick book, it takes a lot to publish, and you know, it's a really good book, and if you won't mind helping the channel, please, then buy the book. You know, look, you see people doing this, right? They've always got to be so fucking dealing with you with kid gloves, because there's always some fucking turd. He's trying to sell his book. He's trying to make a fucking living. He's trying to get his word out. That's what he's doing. He's trying to do you a fucking favour. For God's sakes, you thick as shit cunts. And so, there's that approach, and then there's other approaches whereby, you know, sometimes I just go, oi, fucking idiots, buy my fucking book. And fuck off. Fuck off and die. And then, you know, I'll come at it from other avenues whereby, okay, I've read all the fucking content time and time again. I'll read some chapters now, I'll read some excerpts, and then I'll tell them how that this information could be useful to them in this scenario, because everybody needs fucking telling. Everybody needs it put on the fucking plate. Everybody needs an illustration. And look, today, people, how we've got these videos. We've got these videos whereby people are talking about things, and then you've got the graphics. And if someone says, you know, if you find yourself having a difficult time and you find you feel like you're a bit bound, then they'll show you a picture of someone being bound in a corner, bound in chains or bound in fucking tape or bound in something. So they've got to show you what being bound's like. We're talking about being bound. Here's a picture, here's an illustration of someone being bound. You get that, don't you? And then they go on to something else. There's one particular channel, it's called School fucking something, and it's all cartoons. It's someone drawing what they're fucking talking about, because look, lots of people, they receive information better pictorially. Okay, so that's one thing. They receive it better symbolically, and the powers that be know that they can get to most of you using symbolisms instead of words, because words you just glaze over. Words don't penetrate your brains, and I fucking know this. Because you know, I speak a lot of words, and you know, I make videos that go on and on and on, and by the time you watch the video, the vast majority of you wouldn't have retained anything, because you've not concentrated, you've not received the information. But if I delivered my information to you in like a Beano or Dandy cartoon style, and I drew illustrations and said a few words, and then I drew another illustration and said a few words, then that symbolism mixed with the words would penetrate your mind much more. Like memes, which we use to remember. You know? So, you know, that's why lots of people that use memes, they're very, very powerful. And that's why TikTok and things like that are very, very powerful. Because all you've got to do is you've just got to say a few powerful keywords with a fucking illustration, or, you know, like 10 seconds of a clip of something, and then that goes in. Maybe even only to the unconscious, but it goes in. Whereas long discourses, they just don't go in. It's a very, very small market for these people. And so if I was ever going to make it big, then I would need someone to cut out just small sections of my videos and to paste them on TikTok and fucking Facebook and all that sort of thing, because that's where 90% of the market is. I don't have the inclination. Oh God, kids over there. I can't stand kids screaming in the playground. You know, I used to come up here in the summertime and sit on the bench, but you know, every fucking 10 minutes the kids are out in the playground, and like, I can't deal with that fucking shit. So I go over into the church, and I sit in there, and I can barely fucking hear on them. Fucking rugrats. You look at that as a level of communication. The girls are screaming. That's all they're fucking doing. It's like they're not talking to each other. It's just a scream. It's a scream. It's a scream. Everything's a fucking scream. And then what are the little boys doing? How are they communicating? I don't know. I suppose they're just fucking pulling stupid fucking face and doing stupid shit. You know, that's that level of communication, isn't it? It's a very different one. You know, and it's so alien to me. And I think, to be fair, it reminds me of my childhood. I was always in fucking new schools, and I was always the new kid in school. And, you know, whenever it come to playtime, you know, I was always walking around on my own initially. And the only thing that I could fucking discern going on was a load of fucking screaming rugrats. And I'm like, what the fucking hell is this place? Why do you send me here? What the fuck am I doing here? I was already a thinker, you see. I was way ahead of my fucking time. So I can't stand that shit. I don't like crowds either, anyway. I don't like fucking noise. So, where was I? Let me just fucking gather my thoughts. Speaking about how people receive information and how we're all different, and I'm always telling you why I'm deploying different tactics, like a fisherman, like an angler. I'm always using different lures because I catch different people with different lures. I will attract different people with a different lure and with a different energy, you know. I don't just come at you guys, you know, in one particular demeanour, with one particular background. You know, I'm all over the place, aren't I? I do my walking videos, I do my cooking videos, I do my foraging videos. You know, I do sitting inside videos. I do lots of different varieties of videos to mix things up and to attract different people. And, you know, some people are attracted by squirrel videos and then stick around a little bit. Some people like the cooking videos and similar sort of thing, you know. And so that's what I'm doing. So when people say to me, you know, using that demeanour, that would probably sell more books. Well, from your perspective. And I said to him, and I'm hoping he's going to reply, I said, tell me this, mate. You knew about my book 6 months ago. And you just told me now that you have just ordered the book because that demeanour that I had in that delivery suited you. And so I want to know what turned him away from all the other times I've mentioned the book over the past 6 months. I said, does it have anything to do with the proposition that I've got for you guys? That you buy my books, you fund the packages I'm going to need to write my new book, and I will make videos about it. That's the fucking deal. That's the fucking business contract, people. I'm not fucking with you, being nice. I'm saying, look, I'll fucking give you something that you've all been fucking waiting for, and what I'm going to be giving you is going to be great. There's no doubt about that. But what are you going to be giving me? And, you know, to be fair, you're not even really giving me anything because, like I said, I only get less than £5 return from these book sales. And I'm going to be spending it on packages to write another book, which is going to be giving you fucking stuff because I've got it all. I know it all. I've had the experiences. They've been great, wonderful, fucking excellent. So, you know, when I say to you, buy the fucking book, well, you know, there's 250,000 words in there which you might learn a few things from. So really, you know, the favour and the pleasure is all yours. And so, you know, I'm always saying, you know, don't be fucking thinking you're doing me any favours or you're funding my expedition, this, that and the other. Look, these books will get fucking written with or without you people. And to be quite frank, I could afford to fucking do it tomorrow. But to engage you in a way that I know you need engaging with, I know you need to be led, I know you need to have a fucking carrot dangled, I know you need to, you know, have something to work towards and consider that you've got something of value for your money, you know, even though you don't consider that, you know, all the videos I'm making every day of my fucking life isn't payment enough. You know, the way I see it is you are all indebted to me for thousands of fucking pounds, to be quite frank, people, because if you only paid like 50 cents for every video you've watched, you fucking owe me. What do I owe you? I don't fucking owe you. Do I owe you because you watch my fucking videos? Get the fuck out of here. You owe me, people. And so people need to change around their mentality. They need to get abreast of what's fucking actually going on in this life. But most people, they just are filled with their own self-importance, and they think just by watching someone's video, then they're doing them a favour. When the actual fact is, what's really happening, you're watching somebody else's hard work, time and effort and life force for your own fucking benefit, and you still think that you're doing them a fucking favour. And then sometimes, if you're feeling really, really kind and gracious, then you'll put a thumb up and you go, I thumbed up that video, I'm helping the algorithm. Fucking turds. Fucking turds, I'm telling you. Is it any wonder that I hate cunts? Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder when you look at the rationale and you look at how people think? It's disgusting and it's vile. And how many of you, I've never heard of you before, and now I'm starting to hear from you. And the reason why I'm hearing from you is because I've thrashed you. I've thrashed you with an inch of your fucking lives to the point whereby your conscience won't allow you not to fucking engage, not to put a comment down, not to say, yeah, Aaron, I've been a fucking cunt. I've been watching you 10 fucking years, mate. I never made a comment. It's disgusting. I get it, it's disgusting. Thanks for the wake-up call. And I'm like, fucking hell. It ain't easy, people. It ain't easy. How I have fucking flogged you. I've flogged fucking the life force out of you fuckers, trying to get you to engage and just, appreciate what I've done. Just now and again, just say, I like that video, mate. Yeah, I mean, there's 10 seconds in that video that meant something to me. The other fucking hour and 20 minutes was a piece of shit. It was fucking horrible. I thought it was crap. But, I took that fucking 10 seconds away and I enjoyed that. Nobody's ever given me that, mate. Thank you. People have got to learn. People have got such a massive evolution to do. And, that's what my job is, obviously. But, I can't reach you all in the same ways. You'll all be reached in very, very different ways. And so that's what you get out of the Awaken Brave. The only YouTuber on the fucking planet. There's never been, there probably never will be another one like me that uses all these fucking psychological tactics and tells you how it is and explains how it is, because if I don't do that, then most of you won't fucking get it. Oh my god, you fucking wear my voice out, you do, people. You fucking wear me out. But good job on the fucking cosmos, isn't it? Good job on the cosmos, people.